Welcome, everyone, to Tech Talk by Netronome, a podcast where you will learn tips and tricks on managing your IT. I'm your host, Alina Atkins, with my co-host, Paul Page. Let's get started. All right. Well, Paul, thank you for joining me today.
Glad to be back again. It's been a while, Alina.
Yes, I love your pink cup.
Oh, well, thank you. My wife is going to see that, and I'm going to be in trouble. This is one of her favorite cups. It's the perfect size. As far as
you took it without
coffee.
Asking?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I did, and she catches me usually about every time that I steal it from her.
Well,
but
she's gonna learn
it
now.
holds this thing keeps the coffee warm for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's
I feel like it's the perfect size too.
It is for 8 ounce. Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Indeed.
Okay, so on track.
Yeah.
Today's topic, we are going to talk about social engineering.
Huge topic.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be very informative for people because I feel like that's not just something that you randomly hear people talk about, is the word social engineering and that topic. So I'm super excited for us to dive in. So let's go ahead. Can you just explain to us exactly what social engineering is, what that means?
So it's the biggest one that we're facing right now in the threat landscape. Social engineering is going to be that psychological tactic that these threat actors or cyber criminals are using to gain information from you or to get access into your networks. That's the biggest part of it that we're facing, is the getting into your networks or prompting you to give them information, essentially giving them keys to the kingdom, Alina. And that's what we're facing right now. We've gotten past those other ports where we're protecting our network by firewalls and these other things. Social engineering is now on the rise. That's where we're really facing our threats now.
Gotcha. So now it deals with more of the employees. Is that how that works?
More of the human behaviors, yes,
Right.
Indeed. It's I think we've seen a 75% increase in social engineering since last year.
Oh my gosh, 75?
It's significant. Yeah,
wow.
For sure.
That's crazy. So going off of that, why do these social engineering attacks, why do they work so well?
Yeah, so, like I was saying, we've put all these protections in place where we've got the firewalls, we've got multi-factor authentication,
Right.
our passwords are stronger, we've got, secure Wi-Fi networks. We have all that in place. The one thing that the threat actors are now acting on are the human behaviors. They're getting the users to click on things that they shouldn't be clicking on. So even if we take those best defenses of having all of this hardware and this technology in place to help protect us, we still have that user that can really harm our networks and cause us issues. And that's what we're battling now. So we've got a lot of things that we're trying to counteract that in the world today.
Gosh, can you give like an example? And it doesn't, it could be one that you have seen yourself, but just an example of like a social engineering attack and like how it's actually succeeded.
Yeah, so one good example, we had someone contact us probably about 2 or 3 months ago, and they were indicating that their email had been hacked, that had been compromised. Once we did some digging and kind of looked at everything that was going on, we realized that, yes, indeed, they had gained access to their email system. They then created a rule within the email system that said any emails that they get from their vendors, we want to do an auto reply and let them know that we now have a new routing number, a new bank account number. So what eventually happened to this client is they responded to an email, and about $200,000 of their money got diverted to the wrong account,
Oh my
went to the
gosh.
cyber criminals. So yeah, every FBI was involved. There was a whole lot of things that were there, but that's what we're facing today. We're facing these very intelligent criminals that instead of them just sending out an email on your behalf,
Right.
they're setting up a rule to auto respond that then gets the attention of the vendor, and it looks legitimate because it's a
Right.
reply directly from this person was a CFO.
Yeah.
So that came directly from the CFO. Hey, we've got a new routing number, new account number.
Use this.
That check was diverted to that account, and so that's what we're facing right now. And a lot of times that'll happen through what we're talking like phishing attacks or bad links, things of that nature. That's what they're using to get the information, to get access to the system, and then they're doing their rules and their auto replies and things of that nature.
Oh my gosh. Were they able to get their money back?
Fortunately, the bank had not made the final transfer. Even the transaction
good.
happened, the bank was able to revert that. A lot of times that's not the case, Alina. A lot of
Right.
times they will lose money. We've seen up to 4.7 billion in losses in 2024
Oh
for
my
these
gosh.
particular type of attacks.
That's crazy. I know for myself personally, like you mentioned, like phishing attacks, and we'll get into that in a little bit about more of like what those actually are.
Yeah.
I personally had a random number that messaged me and said, "Hey, did you get this?" And it said that it was Hampton Coakley, our CEO at Metronome,
Right.
and the number didn't look familiar to me.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought, well, maybe he's testing out a new text messaging system, and just the way that this person, they're getting more clever and they're not saying, I mean, some are like, hello, please respond urgently, thank you kindly. Like they're not, some are still doing that, but some have just like, hey, did you get this?
Yeah.
And it's like, and then they'll start asking you urgent things, which we'll talk about too, and we can actually talk about it right now, is like how to tell if this is coming from the right person. Like you had mentioned, the CFO, their email address had been hacked.
Yeah.
Whenever they sent that email, was it the type of emotions that they're using to make us vulnerable in that sense that we need to respond back as quickly as possible?
Absolutely. And so some of the tactics that they're using, you've heard us talk about phishing. We've talked about there's pretexting, which essentially is kind of setting you up to get on a call with them or get into a chat environment to talk with somebody so that they can gain access to your machine and get your information. Vishing, which is voice phishing, where they're actually giving you a call on your phone and saying, hey, this is Microsoft. We see that your computer has been compromised. We would like to help you resolve this issue. Or it could be UPS calling and saying, hey, your package couldn't be delivered. We need to get a new account or a routing number. All of these things are kind of happening all at once, and they're starting to use that. But when we're talking about how they're doing that, what they're acting on, some of those psychological triggers are going to be urgency, right? You're going to see that email says, hey, you need to act right away or you're going to lose all your savings. That's the one I got the other day, an email that said, if you would like to keep your savings account, please contact us immediately. So it created that sense of urgency that acted on my fear. Am I going to lose all of my savings? Am I going to lose my money? And obviously that was a phishing attempt to try to get you to do those things. Urgency is the biggest one that we see most of often, and then it's going to act on fears. There's also going to be things like they're going to try to gain your trust. It's going to look like it's coming from your CEO or CFO. Right. It's going to look for somebody of authority, look like it's coming from someone with authority. That's how we know. And those are the flags that we need to be watching out for, you guys, is when they do those things like acting on your fear, your sense of urgency. It appears to be coming from a trusted authority or a source. Those are all of those pieces that we really need to be looking for nowadays.
Right. And I think too, we need, even if someone sends you an email and if it's the correct email, double checking with that person, like that CFO. Hey, did you mean to send this to me? If that's you walking down the hall to their office and saying, hey, I just wanted to make sure, is this true? Or sending them a screenshot of that email, calling them and actually talking to the person that is quote unquote the one that sent you that email. Is this legit? I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry than to be like, oh, okay, cool, and just blindly trusting every email that we get, because we're at the point now where you can't. Like, trust is so, it's such a value asset that we can't even trust an email because it could possibly not be the CFO, the CEO that it says it's coming from.
Yeah, one of the things I always tell clients is if it has anything to do with monetary value or money or sensitive information, you always have to check that source. Whether that be a phone call to your vendor or one of your partner, your business partners, you have got to make those calls nowadays to confirm that that's the case, because it's just happening so much now. You don't know whether or not it's factual or not, so you've got to check that.
I think it's also, we're so busy now
we are.
that we don't stop to see. That's something else I need to do. Okay, let me click. Okay, let me get this off of my list to do. It's very easy to do. Cool, let me get this done. And then what happens is we fall victim
Yeah.
to these attacks because we're in such a hurry up world, get things done, especially in our work environment today. Everything's just very handed to us. And so it's all at our fingertips. Well, if I send this off, then I'm good to go. When in return, we should probably just double check, take that 5-10 seconds of a phone call to make sure, is this actually who it says it is,
Yep.
before I end up giving sensitive information or giving, monetary value to someone that could possibly not be.
Yep. And that's
my boss.
definitely something that I would say to do. We talk about measuring twice and cutting once.
Yeah.
We want to do that with all the things that are involving sensitive information or money. So definitely take the time. We've got some things in place now that's going to check that link, and we've got this stuff called Inky Fish Fence,
Yeah.
where it's a link and you click on it and it takes you to a web page and asks you, are you sure you want to proceed? You can see the domain that the email came
Right.
from and all that stuff. So it gives you a little bit of some information, checks it against a bad database. But really, it's giving you that opportunity to check twice. Oh, wait, that's not right. There's a typo in that domain. Do not proceed to that site. So we've
Right.
got things in place to kind of help us there, but we're still relying on human, to click the right thing or not click the wrong thing. So it is definitely something that we have to be aware of today. In hockey, we talk about situational awareness. Knowing where all of your teammates are on the ice, where all your opponents are on the ice, so you can make quicker decisions on that play that's coming up. In these terms, we need to talk about threat awareness. We need to know the threats that are out there. We need to be cognizant of that and always kind of head on a swivel and checking those links, checking that email, making sure that it came from the right people. All those things are something we've got to do now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
To add to our busy schedules that we already have.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we have to be security people. as
Yeah,
well.
it's definitely better to just be
Yeah.
slow, double check things, regardless if you've gotten the same email 50 million times.
Sure.
Threat actors are going to, use those different tactics of this is a routine email that you get. Well, if I hack in, they're going to give me a better chance to actually do the same thing. So always stop and double check. And we had also talked, you were talking about awareness. Inky, I know that's what we use here at Netronom, but there's also other things that we do as well, which is like security awareness training.
Yeah.
And can you kind of walk us through how does that training help the actual individual person that's receiving that email or phone call or whatever it may be?
Yeah, so the training is very important, and we don't want to be in a reactive environment anymore.
Yeah.
We want to take a proactive approach to being aware of those threats that are out there. So there's a lot of different training types out there. Some of the latest statistics kind of talks about scenario-based training. That's our most effective type of training, is scenario-based, where you're getting an email or some sort of correspondence that relates to that type of attack, and it's giving you the options to make the right choice or make the wrong choice. We do it here at Netronom. We're all tested every once in a while. We get some training, and then we get these emails every once in a while that's testing if our training's actually good or not.
Right.
Are we clicking the wrong thing even though we had the training? So a lot of different training types out there. I definitely would recommend the scenario-based trainings, and then also, in your organization or your company, you may want to do something like make it a game. Have points, leaderboards, things of that nature that are going to get your staff or your full-time employees, it's going to get them invested into learning and doing the right things. We find that's actually a great technique, is to kind of make it a game environment or even a leaderboard. Those are some good examples. Scenario-based is the one, though. That's
Right.
the one we want to have, because that's going to get them that idea of how these attackers are actually doing their jobs nowadays, so we can recognize those traits, whether it be that that urgency that they've placed in the email, or the sense of fear you're going to lose your savings, or wherever those tactics are, we can recognize those.
Yeah. And I would say too, when we say training, don't think of something that's like boring. Oh my gosh, this is going to take hours of my day.
Right.
It might take 5 minutes
Yeah.
of once, every other week or once a month, something like that. It's not, and honestly, I kind of find them funny, just like the different trainings that we get. I'm
Right.
like, oh, I wonder what the theme of this one's going to be this
Yep.
video today.
It's true.
Yeah, and it brings up so much more knowledge. I think it makes me more knowledgeable in that field, because they'll bring up different softwares that are relevant for today, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I should, like, this is something that I should be on the lookout for, or like, oh, I didn't know that, gosh, hackers are doing this now too, like,
Gotta stay current.
yeah. And so I think the trainings, definitely, that's a great word for it, is the trainings keep you current, because they're ever evolving, these threats, and if we're not staying current with what they're doing, we're going to fall behind, and we are going to fall victim to one of their new tricks that they're doing. So yeah, the trainings, don't be afraid of that. They're like 5 minutes, if that, and I think they're kind of
short.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how they need to be.
Yeah, and like you said, they're situational, and I think they're kind of funny just to break up your day when you watch them.
Yeah.
So I know we've kind of talked about the psychological angle of this, and like that they use fear and that they use urgency. But there are some businesses that are probably still in this mindset that they're too small to be attacked. That that these cyber attacks, they're not going to happen to a mom and pop. Like, why would somebody want to attack my business? How do we have business owners understand that every business, no matter how small or how large you are, is going to get attacked at least once within their business?
Yeah, well, we are in the information age, and it's all about, that's what these attackers are after. They're after information, whether that be banking information or who's your CFO, who's your CEOs. It's all about information, personal identifiable information. They want to get your addresses. They want to steal information that's on your driver's license. It's all about information. So when you think of it in that regard, who would the attackers be targeting? And I will tell you, it's everybody. It's not the big companies. It's not just the little guy, the HIPAA, the medical facility. It's everybody. They're going after, because that's what's most valuable. The information that they can gather is worth money. Whether you're a marketing company trying to find out if they want to buy Nike shoes and then start putting ads on them, or if there's somebody trying to gain your username and password so they can hack into your email to compromise your email and steal money with a routing number. Those are all things that are out there now. But as far as who is susceptible, everybody. And I will tell you, 60% of small, medium businesses that are attacked or breached, they go out of business within 6 months. So there is a big push for small, medium business. One of the other things is they know that they're not very well protected.
Right.
And they know that they might have that mindset, I'm too small to get attacked. And that's just not the case. We'll see just as many attacks happen to small, medium businesses, even individuals, as we will for larger companies.
Right. And I was just about to bring that up too, is it's not just businesses, it's individuals.
It's everybody. Information is valuable, whether it be from a person or from a business, without a doubt.
Exactly. So even if you don't own a business, like, this is very important to understand that. I mean, I'm sure everybody that's watching this has had at least one text, one phone call,
Guaranteed.
one email that has said, this is so-and-so, or your iCloud storage is gone, you need to pay us this, or it's going to be deactivated, your account is, unless you respond back to this email.
Very true.
But yeah, so for my last question that I have for you is, what is something that a business or an individual can do today to, I guess, not necessarily stop, because I feel like we're unfortunately always going to get these attacks.
Yep.
But what is something that we can do today that we can be less vulnerable to these social engineering attacks that we are not, if we're going to receive, when we do receive?
Yep. And we always talk about this at the end of our podcast. What are some things that we can do to keep ourselves safe out there?
Yep.
And I always say, I can't just tell you one, Alina, and it's true.
Right?
It's true for this as well. We've talked about this one before, which is the security awareness training. That's probably first and foremost. Knowing that these threats exist and how these actors are doing it, that's imperative nowadays. We cannot be reactive and learn about these threats after they've taken place, right? So security awareness training has to be first and foremost.
Do you have any recommendations of those security awareness trainings? Like, are there any companies out here that you think would be good for small, medium-sized businesses to use?
There are a lot of free resources out there, Alina. You can do some simple searches online and just, in your search string, just call it security awareness training. You're going to get a ton of hits, a lot of free resources. We partner with several different companies to make sure that we cover all of the threats that are out there
Right.
today, and they all have good things about them. Some may not have the scenario-based training,
Right.
some may. So you want to be selective in who you're working with and who you're getting the training from.
Gotcha.
But certainly, your searches out there are going to find you some valuable resources. Anything is better than nothing,
Right.
Sticking your head in the sand, it's going to bite you. You do not want to do that. You've got to take a proactive approach to keeping yourself safe nowadays, without a
Yeah.
doubt. The other thing that I would always recommend is we have multi-factor authentication now,
Right.
where you're not only using your username and password, but you're getting some third option, whether that be a code or a text to your cell phone or something to your email that kind of makes sure that who you are when you're logging in, it's actually you. So it's
Yeah.
real important to use multi-factor authentication. A lot of vendors are forcing it, your ERP vendors, even your IT people may be forcing you to do that multi-factor approach. It's a little bit cumbersome, but it's worth its weight in gold.
Right.
It's going to keep, just think that hacker does not have your cell phone. So when that code comes, if you've got they're not getting that.
Right.
So it's real important to use multi-factor authentication nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if you guys don't know what, MFA is what we call it, multi-factor authentication, we have a blog written out on our Knowledge Base Camp on our website, netronom.com. Like, we try to make these the verbiage of IT sometimes can be a bit daunting of just what different words mean. Just recently posted a blog as well on MSAT, which is Security Awareness Training. And so if you're like, where do I begin? What on earth does this mean? How do I get it? Check out our website, check out our blogs, and learn from there. And like Paul said, go on Google, type in Security Awareness Training, scenario-based, anything like that. And like you said, something is better than nothing.
Yep.
You're probably going to get more, you're going to get what you paid for.
Yep.
So if you get a free resource, it might not be as good as a paid version, but again, it's better than putting your head in the sand and not being aware of the threats out there.
We've got to do it nowadays.
Yep.
Because those breaches can get pretty expensive. Some of the statistics that I looked at for 2025 they're bad. 4.7 billion in losses from business email compromise. That's the biggest one we're facing right now, is
Right.
the business email compromise. Because if they get into your business email and they've created an account in there and you don't know they're in there, they can really cause you some problems. And that's the biggest one that we're facing now. And social engineering is a big part of that. They're going to do some things to try and fish information from you. They're going to try to find out what your username and password are. Having that multi-factor authentication stops them at that point where they have username and password, but they don't have that code ability to your cell phone.
Yeah.
That's what we've got to have nowadays. So definitely take advantage of those options for sure.
Right. Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining me today. I know this was informing to me, and I'm sure it was to our viewers as well, just to know like social engineering, what it is, that it's psychological, and people are going to fall victim to it, unfortunately. But as long as we keep informing people and show them, hey, there's trainings and there's other ways that you can make sure that your business and yourself as an individual are secure. So thank you all for joining us, and be on the lookout for our next podcast. We'll see you then.